Hello, and welcome to episode number 47 of WrestleRotica, the podcast that combines wrestling and erotica. This week we have one story to share with you. The first story is entitled, Mizdad Goes to Yoga. In this story, the Miz's father finally starts on his New Year's resolution to get in better shape. He first begins by working out in his gym/garage before his daughter-in-law suggests that he gives yoga a try. He then ventures to Australian yoga, where fun times occur even though he struggles with the class. Without further ado, let's get to this week's story. This story is entitled, Mizdad Goes to Yoga, and it is a WrestleRotica original. It all started on an unseasonably warm winter day in the town of Cleveland, Ohio. The sun was standing high in the sky and beaming down its bright rays. It was only 10:30 in the morning, and yet it had already reached a rather warm 65 degrees. Outside, the birds were chirping loudly. But inside the Mizzen household, a different series of events and noises were occurring. At the kitchen table was seated the father of the A-lister, The Miz.
Because I'm The Miz! And I'm awesome!
That was great!
The table was scattered with various breakfast items. There was a large plate of bacon, some sausage, some eggs, some hash browns, some orange juice, and a large mug of coffee. Still cooking away, the Miz's mother finally opened her mouth and began speaking. So dear, I'm delighted to make you all of this food, but can you tell me exactly why you need such a massive breakfast? The pancakes will be up soon. He let out a loud and thunderous belch. He began to speak. Today is the day. Today I finally, he burps again, start working towards my New Year's resolution. I'm going to finally start working out. I need all of this food to have the energy so that I can push it to the limit. After all, Mike was generous enough to buy me all of that exercise equipment for Christmas. I might as well put it to good use. Besides, it's such a nice day outside that I'm thinking about opening the garage, blaring some tunes, and getting my sweat on. Dear, that's fantastic. I'm glad you are finally getting serious about working out. You know that I have always loved you and your body, but there's no denying the fact that we are both getting older. And besides, I want you around for as long as I possibly can have you. You are my greatest love. Aww. You do know that, right? She responded. Of course I do, dear. After all we've been through. And the fact that we are still somehow an item. Still somehow together after all of these years. I mean, sure, we had a rough period when we were separated. But after a few years, we found ourselves back in each other's lives. It was once we decided to make our relationship open that we really found each other again. And besides, baby, look at this bounty of food on this table. You didn't have to make me breakfast. You could have completely told me to fuck off and to make my own breakfast. Mizdad states. I would never do that, my dear, she replies as a smile begins to crest on her face. By the way, the pancakes are done. Come and get them while they are hot. The Mizdad exclaims, that's not the only thing that I will get while it's still hot. He then lets out another booming laugh. He gets out of his kitchen chair and stands up as he walks over to his wife. He tenderly kisses her on the lips. As he fills up his plate with pancakes, he stares at his wife with a fervent lust. Plate now full of pancakes, he begins to walk back to the table, but not before slapping his wife on her ass. As he sits down, he begins to dump a ton of syrup on his pancakes. His wife turns off the stove and removes the apron that she was wearing. She then walks over to the table to join her husband. As he continues to eat ravenously, Lots of loud, lip-smacking sounds can be heard in the kitchen. The Mizdad was never one to take his time with eating. In many ways, he ate like he would never get another opportunity to eat. His wife merely sat at the table, sipping on her cup of coffee. After several more minutes, the Mizdad had completely finished his stack of pancakes. In fact, he had completely finished all of the food that was on the table. The pancakes, eggs, bacon, and sausage were now all gone. He looked at his wife across the table and saw that she was only left with her solitary cup of coffee. "Fuck!" he blurted out. "What's wrong, dear? Was the food not satisfactory? Or perhaps there wasn't enough? Do you want me to make you anything else?" "Oh no, dear. I am completely full and couldn't possibly consume another bite of food. I just feel bad. I didn't mean to eat everything on the table. I didn't want to deprive you of getting a meal." She now laughed before speaking. "Relax, dear. I'm not particularly hungry this morning anyway. This cup of coffee is really all I need to get myself going today. It's very warm and filling. Besides, you are the one who has a big day. I am merely going to lounge around the house and watch some television. But you are really going to work out today, aren't you?" "Oh, fuck yeah, I am. I'm going to work out like I've never worked out before. And after finishing that breakfast, I'm already feeling pumped for the day. I can feel the energy flowing through my body. I can feel my pulse beating. And I'm ready to rock this workout like I've never rocked a workout before. In fact, I should go change right now and get to it while I'm still motivated. Do you mind if I get to it? I don't mean to leave you here with this mess of dishes," Mizdad stated. "It's fine. Now go on and get ready," the Mrs. Mother said. The Mizdad stood up and then proceeded up the steps. 5 minutes later, he walked back down and saw his wife finishing up the dishes. He was now dressed in a tap-out t-shirt and a pair of Zubaz. His wife noticed what he was wearing and said, "Damn, honey, you look the part. Do you still want your morning beer?" "I probably shouldn't. But hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. I can't sculpt this body instantly, so what the hell, might as well." The Mizdad opened up the fridge and grabbed a cold Miller Lite Tallboy. He once again kissed his wife before heading outside. As the day's sunlight beamed on his skin for the first time, he immediately felt another jolt of energy. He cracked open the beer as he opened up the garage door. As the door was lifted, the sun began to reflect off the metal exercise machines. The Miz had really spent far too much on his dad this Christmas. But that's just the kind of person that A-lister was. He may appear to be a douchebag on television, but he truly has a heart of gold for those he cares about. Of course, the garage had also been very much stylized by the Miz's father too. He had to put his own unique touch on there, which is why there was a mini fridge in the garage with beer, and a television with access to all of the channels, including the adult ones. In another corner, the Mizdad had made sure to put in a jukebox with all of his favorite tunes. He was having difficulty deciding exactly how to get started. He wasn't sure which exercise machine he wanted to start on. There was a weight bench, a bicycle, and a leg press. He slowly sipped on his Miller Lite, procrastinating as he listened to the sounds of nature outside. He decided that he would flip on the television first. He thought that if he could find an entertaining program, that would allow him to pass the time and be distracted enough not to notice that he was working out. He flipped the channels for a few minutes before landing on the Playboy channel. Currently on was the show Hot Babes Doing Stuff Naked.
Hot babes doing stuff naked.
He was disappointed as he realized that this was the horseback riding episode, and he had already seen this one. Plus, he was already starting to feel his member hardening, and he knew that if he watched for much longer, he would end up just masturbating and never working out. He began channel surfing some more until he came across Total Divas airing on the E! Network. Alright, Total Divas. This works. It has plenty of eye candy and is silly enough to enjoy. The bicycle seems like it'll be the easiest to get started with. After all, I used to love riding a bike as a child. This shouldn't be that bad. He was now talking to himself, trying to motivate himself, trying to get hyped.
I bleed all the time, I don't care! I stay hyped!
He got on the exercise bike and began to slowly work. He pedaled and he pedaled while he watched some of his son's co-workers on the big screen television. He had met all of these divas at some point, and even had a special relationship with a few of them. There was of course Naomi, who the Mizdad really got acquainted with at his Halloween party. Of course he wasn't dumb. He had read that Naomi was no longer part of Total Divas, and would not be featured in the new episodes. He was quite angry at this fact actually. He couldn't believe that they had removed such a beautiful and hilarious and sassy and hilarious lady from the show. He had a very, very warm spot in his heart for Naomi. He also couldn't deny the affinity that his heart had felt for her. He now found himself slightly daydreaming about the Halloween party. Those were good times. Good times indeed. Maybe one of these days, I'll get another opportunity with Naomi. He once again found himself talking aloud, but he didn't care. He was actually quite pleased to be lost in thought. He had barely noticed that he was still pedaling away on the bike. It had been a good 15 or 20 minutes since he had gotten on the bike, and he wasn't even feeling tired yet. He didn't even notice that the first episode of Total Divas had ended, and that it had switched onto another episode. He was now beginning to work up a sweat on the bike. He then glanced down and saw that he had already managed to bike for 7.2 miles. He thought to himself, not bad. Not bad at all. A few more minutes passed, and finally the bike began to slow down. The bike had practically come to a stop as the Mizdad couldn't continue. It wasn't out of exhaustion that had caused him to stop riding the bicycle. It was something that he had seen on the television screen. He finally found out who had replaced his girl Naomi. It was former Tough Enough competitor Amanda Sacramano, who was now going by the name of Mandy Rose. He didn't know that she had been signed to appear on Total Divas, but he did remember her. He remembered her from Tough Enough. He remembered how she was constantly trying to flirt with his son on television.
I'll spread it.
He even remembered watching the Tough Enough finale, where Amanda had accused Sarah Lee of being a ring rat and trying to sleep her way to the top. He also remembered how Mick Foley had tried to white knight that situation and call out WWE for slut-shaming Sarah Lee. He liked Mick, he really did, but sometimes he found it difficult to relate to him. I mean, he knew that he had his own unique and special relationships with many of the WWE divas, and so did Mick, but they seemed to be on a completely different spectrum. Either way, the Mizdad couldn't deny that he had been instantly attracted to Mandy Rose the moment that he had seen her. While he was heartbroken about losing Naomi on the show, he began to think that at least Mandy Rose was a solid replacement, and he hoped that sooner rather than later, he would get an opportunity to meet her. He also couldn't deny how great her ass looked during those training segments. She could really fill out a pair of yoga pants. As he continued to watch, he also remarked about how good Eva Marie looked. He decided to finally get off the bike and walked over to his mini fridge and grabbed another tall Miller Lite. As he sat down on the chair and continued watching Total Divas. As he sat on his chair, sipping on his beer, he once again began to feel the blood rush to his dick. He didn't know if it was the sight of Mandy Rose and Eva Marie in their tight workout clothes, or if it was the extra endorphins rushing through his body after his post-workout. With the extra dopamine flowing throughout his body, he soon found his member throbbing. He was now rock hard. Even with the garage door open, he decided to say fuck it. He slid his hands down his Zubaz pants and instantly gripped his dick. At first he slowly began just rubbing it ever so slowly. With Total Divas in the background, he was now having a post-exercise wank. He quickened his pace when Nikki Bella was on the screen, talking about her breast. He began rapidly stroking his dick faster and faster. Nikki Bella was definitely another diva that he hoped to have a special relationship with one day soon. His balls were beginning to swell, and he was so close to coming. If another Nikki Bella scene came up soon, he knew he would blow. A loud screeching sound was heard outside. And then he heard a car's radio. It was blaring a song in another language. It was something he recognized could only be French. He quickly took his hand out of his Zubaz and hoped that he hadn't been caught. That he hadn't been caught pleasuring himself to Total Divas. He then heard another noise. It was the sound of a car door slamming. And then he heard another door slam. Who the fuck was here? He wasn't expecting any guests today, and he was so angry to have been interrupted. He then heard footsteps before a familiar voice rang out. Hello? Are you in the garage? A female voice rang out. He immediately recognized who the female voice belonged to. It was his daughter-in-law, Maryse. He wasn't sure what she was doing here, but he was glad to see her. She continued towards the garage, where he finally saw her for the first time. The Mizdad, like usual, wasn't disappointed with how Maryse was dressed. She was wearing a curve-fitting black shirt, see-through pantyhose, and a top that showed off ample cleavage. He immediately got a huge grin on his face. When she finally got close enough to hug him, the two embraced tenderly. His dick, still hard, rubbed briskly against her. Maryse couldn't help but to giggle as she noticed. This wasn't the first time she's felt her father-in-law's hard-on.
What?
She began to speak. Hi, Dad. I am glad that you are excited to see me. His face briefly goes red. He is rarely embarrassed, generally, and yet, Maryse can make him blush like he never has before. How do you know I'm excited to see you? He says, trying to play it cool. Maryse again giggles. Dad, I can tell. And I can feel. And besides, are you ever not excited to see me? Well, no, but I just didn't expect to see you today is all. But you know that we love all of your visits, Maryse. She answers, Of course I do, Dad. I came by because I was at the farmer's market with a friend of mine. We were having a terrific time, and we picked up more items than we needed. And since we had some extra, I thought we would give the extra food to you. We didn't want it going to waste. And I also haven't seen you in a few days. I just wanted to see how the family was doing. That's awfully kind and sweet of you, Maryse. We are doing really well, actually. In fact, as you can tell, I'm finally using some of this exercise equipment that Mike bought me for Christmas. This is my first day really going for it, but I think I'm doing pretty good so far. I rode the bike earlier for a good 15 miles. He exaggerates. I can tell. I hope it keeps up. You already are the most charismatic person that I know. If you get in shape, then dear Lord, you are going to have all the ladies all over you. Maryse says, I definitely wouldn't mind that. Mizdad replies cockily. But I should probably take these groceries inside. I don't want them going bad. After all, it was a farmer's market, and with some of this organic stuff, it's best not to take a chance. But do you mind entertaining my friend while I'm inside? I don't plan on being super long, but you know how your wife gets sometimes. She is going to probably chat my ear off. She will want to know each and every story about her son. Sighs. Sometimes I wonder why I married a guy who called himself the chick magnet. But I can't deny how much I love that goof, and how much I love being part of this family. Anyway, just entertain my friend. She already knows about you. I've said nothing but good things. Maurice then kissed him on the lips, before walking away and entering the Mizzen household. Another minute passed before finally the Mizdad heard more footsteps approaching the garage. He completely lost his cool when he saw her just outside his gym and garage. It was the gorgeous redhead that he had just seen on Total Divas, all 5 foot 8 inches, 125 pounds of toned and ripped body, breasts beyond ample, and legs that could wrap around you for days. Legs that could crush you. Legs that you wanted to instantly throw around your head. He absolutely could not believe that this gorgeous Italian girl was at his house right now. Eva Marie was the first to speak. She spoke with a rather warm and flirty intonation. "Hi! I've heard so much about you. Maurice has told me so many good things about you. She told me how handsome you were, how hilarious you were, and how you were a good kisser. She really could not stop speaking your praises." Eve then entered the garage fully. She could hear the television in the corner. When she finally glanced at the television, she immediately recognized what was on. She turned to the Mrs. Dad and asked him, "So, are you a big fan of this show? I think that you would have to be watching this at 11 in the morning." She laughs before continuing. But then again, when isn't the E! Network running a Total Divas marathon? They absolutely love us. And maybe you love us too? She hears the voice of Mandy Rose in the background before she continues. Ah, Mandy. She's an interesting character. I'm still not entirely sure if I should team up with her or not.
Red and gold can take over the world.
I've tried red and gold before, and it burnt me so bad. What do you think about Mandy? Do you like her? Do you find her attractive? The Mizdad coughs. Eva looks at him impatiently, before asking him again with a more authoritative tone. God damn it! Be straight with me. What do you think about Mandy? Do you find her hot? If you want honesty, I need another beer. Do you want one? We have Miller Lite, and I believe some Tecate. Mizdad replies. Eva smiles, letting her guard down a bit. I'll take the Tecate. After all, I'm half Mexican, after all. This wouldn't be the first Tecate I've had. I had absolutely no idea that you were part Mexican, but I can't deny that I love a girl who is willing to drink beer and just chill out. Mizdad states. Sure. Beer, wine, tequila. I can do it all. I mean, I don't get into brie mode nearly as often as some of the other divas. Brie-mo! But that doesn't mean I don't like to have a good time. Plus, I'm half Mexican and half Italian. Liquor is practically coursing throughout my family tree.
I said give me a hell yeah!
The Mizdad then raises his brand new Miller Lite Tallboy as Eva raises the Tecate that she just received. The two clank the cans together in a celebratory cheers. Both of them smile before Eva speaks again. You still haven't answered me about Mandy, but I'll ask you something easier. What exactly is going on here? Is this your man cave? She teases him. This is my dojo. Mizdad replies. Your dojo? Who exactly do you think you are? Some kind of badass, huh? Eva questions him. I am indeed. I've been working my guns all day. I'm trying to get ripped. Trying to get in shape for the new year. I can tell. You are already looking quite nice in that tap-out t-shirt. Eva walks over to him. She grabs onto his bicep before blurting out. I can already start to tell that it's paying off. Your bicep is feeling so good and so strong. The Mizdad responds, really? I'm shocked, but either way, you have really nice muscular arms. If only my husband Jonathan could have this natural look. He tries so hard, and yet, even with all his muscles, you still have something that he doesn't have. I think it's a more manly feeling.
He's a man, such a man, such a man.
Something about you screams that you are a manly man, while I just don't get the same thing from him. She leans closer and whispers into his ear. Just tell me what you think about Mandy, and I'm yours. Yours? In what way? He asked. Maurice said to keep me busy. Use your imagination. He thought to himself, this is his lucky day. He was watching her on television only a while ago. And now, here she was, in his garage, begging him for sex.
Oh yeah!
He truly was having a great day, and all he had to do to get sex with this gorgeous WWE diva was tell her how he felt about another WWE diva. This was probably the easiest hookup he has had in a while, at least since that Halloween party. He cleared his throat before exclaiming, she seems nice. I hope that she gets the training that she needs, and I hope that they don't rush her to the main roster. As long as she does her proper training and pays her dues, she will definitely be an asset to the WWE. She has the looks and personality to go far within the industry. And you know something? A lot of people want to give her shit for getting her start on a reality show. But I think you can relate to that. You were judged because you also started on Total Divas. And though it took you a while, at least you finally went back to get training. You put in the time with Brian Kendrick. You know who else got tons of shit for being on reality TV? Eva stammered. The Mizdad quickly interrupted. I'll tell you who got a lot of shit for being a reality star. My son did.
Really?
And nobody can deny the success that he has had.
Really?
He went from being on The Real World to main eventing WrestleMania, and I couldn't be prouder. That he did. Eva responded and smiled. Thank you for answering what you thought about Mandy. I just wanted somebody else's opinion, because I'm thinking about tagging with her. But since you answered my question, I think that I owe you something. I told you that you could have anything that you want. So name your price. He took a few seconds to think about that. Eva Marie was offering herself up to him. He could have sex with her in any way he wanted. He knew that it was best to keep them wanting more. He turned to Eva and told her that he wanted to eat her out. It had been an hour or two since he finished those flapjacks earlier, and he was hungry once again.
Feed me more!
Hungry for some Eva Marie pussy. Eva was dressed in a pair of leather pants and a tight tank top. She asked the Mrs. Father where the best place to do this was. He told her to get on the weight bench and to lay down. This would give him the perfect access that he needed to please her. Eva laid down on the weight bench, and Mizdad placed his hands on the top band of her pants. He ran his hands down to her zipper and slowly unzipped the pants. He removed the leather pants slowly, making sure to enjoy what was going on. He was pleasantly surprised to find out that Eva wasn't wearing any panties. When he noticed her pussy for the first time, he couldn't help but to be slightly disappointed that she was completely shaved. He blurted out, "No pubes, huh? I thought you were all red everything, but I can get past that, I guess. Besides, that pussy is so gorgeous, and I can't help but to notice that you are already glistening." Now her face gets red. almost red enough to match her hair color. The Mizdad takes this as a sign. He approaches Eva's pussy and begins to slowly lap in each and every inch of her pussy. She can feel the tickle of his mustache on her shaved privates, and she laughs. She is totally surprised by how much she is already enjoying this, and how his mustache is tickling her in ways that she has never been tickled before. She begins to moan loudly in the garage. Oh! Oh my god! I can't believe... Oh my god! That's so good! Please! Lick me more! For a second the Mizdad is distracted. He realizes that the garage door is still open, and with his spare hand, he finds the garage door remote and closes it. He didn't want to disturb all of his neighbors, or clue them into what was going on. Eva is already on the brink of exploding. She simply has never experienced anything like this. Perhaps it was his age and his years of experience. Perhaps it was because Eva Marie had daddy issues, and the Mizdad was similar in age to her father Barry.
Dad's good. Dad's fine.
Either way, Eva didn't know why she was already about to come. He had only been eating her out for maybe 6 or 7 minutes, and she was embarrassed by how much she was soaking his mustache. She couldn't help but to wonder how long his mustache would smell like her pussy juices. And then with another quick lapping of the tongue, she finally let go. She came in large puddles across his face. Eva then put on her leather pants, while the Mrs. Father began to clean up. He took off the tap-out shirt and used it to wipe up Eva's cum off of his face. Just as they had finished putting themselves back together, the garage door once again opened. Maurice had returned and was standing outside of the garage. She spoke up. I hope that I wasn't gone for too long. Your wife was super chatty today, and I just couldn't escape. I didn't mean to place a huge burden on you. I hope entertaining my friend wasn't too much trouble. The Mizdad replies, No trouble at all. In fact, Eva Marie and I had fun. Fun like only I can have. Isn't that right, Eva? She is at a loss for words, but manages to squeak out a simple, yes.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Maurice then speaks again. Well, I'm glad that the two of you seem to have fun. So anyway, when I was inside, your wife mentioned that you were trying to get in shape. I think you should give yoga a try. He interrupts her. Now why should I do that? What kind of sissy does yoga? Maurice responds, Sissies like Jake the Snake? It's done miracles for him. And besides, plenty of my friends from WWE rave about this yoga class. And what's the worst that could happen? If you try it once and don't like it, then you never have to go back. He knows that Maurice is right. I suppose you are right, Maurice. I'll think about it a bit more. Just give me the information and I'll decide soon. She gives the information and tells him that she hopes he will give it a chance. She then mentions that she has to be going. Both her and Eva Marie have other plans and arrangements for the day. As Eva Marie and Maurice leaves, the Mrs. Father proceeds to kiss them, both on the lips. After they both leave, the Mizdad looks at the yoga information that Maurice gave him. He didn't know what to think about yoga, but once again he recalled seeing Mandy Rose on Total Divas earlier. He figured, fuck it, if even half the asses at a regular yoga class looked as good as Mandy Rose's did, he would at least enjoy himself. The next day, the Mizdad woke up and decided that he'd go to the yoga class that Maurice had suggested. He found the piece of paper with the address that Maurice had given him. He realized that the class was starting in only an hour. He would be rushed to get ready, but he quickly gathered himself and hopped into the shower. While in the shower, he didn't know what to think, but he tried to remain positive. For the most part, he was an optimist, and knew that whenever he generally tried new things, he enjoyed them. Upon stepping out of the shower and shutting it off, he proceeded to dry himself off. He then got dressed again, once again in another tap-out shirt and another pair of Zubaz. His wife was already downstairs when he had finished. He turned to her and said that he was in a rush and had to be going soon. He was going to try out the yoga class that Maurice told him about. They kissed before he exited through the back door. He got into his car and cranked up the classic rock radio station, which was playing Bob Seger's Kathmandu.
I think I'm going to Kathmandu. That's really where I'm going to.
He once again looked at the piece of paper. Australian Yoga. He typed the place into his GPS and sped off. He didn't realize how close the yoga studio was to his house. It only took him 10 minutes to get to the strip mall the Australian Yoga was located in. It was a typical Ohio strip mall, filled with the obligatory foreign grocer, massage parlor, liquor store, and apparently this yoga studio. The parking lot seemed relatively crowded, especially for being this early in the morning. He parked his car and proceeded to walk towards the Australian Yoga's front door. As the door swung open, a bell clanged, and he was immediately greeted by a gorgeous brunette. She introduced herself immediately, with a wide grin upon her face. "Hi, I'm Billy. Welcome to Australian Yoga. Is this your first time?" she said. The Mizdat simply sighs. What gave it away? Is it how I'm dressed? If I have to be honest, I wasn't exactly sure about how I should dress today. My daughter-in-law suggested that I come here. I didn't really know what I needed. Oh, your daughter-in-law? Don't worry about it. You must be the Mrs. Father. Maurice told us all about you, and if I do say so myself, you are even more handsome than she described. For the most part, your outfit seems to work. The only real issue is the Zubaz. Sure, those worked for working out in the 80s, but yoga requires you to be able to move even more freely. Don't worry, we have a selection of men's pants that you can buy. He grunted again and tried cursing under his breath. Shit. I really didn't know that guys also had yoga pants. I'm not entirely sure I have the kind of body that is meant for yoga pants. Oh, don't kid yourself. Yoga pants are absolutely no big deal. Trust me, once you wear them for the first time, you will realize that you are getting worked up over nothing. And besides, I've had plenty of my male friends tell me that their balls felt heavenly in the male Lululemons. He had to hope so. The Mizda knew that he was freeballing as always, and as a result, he wasn't sure how much of himself would be revealed in those pants. Billy pointed him to the changing room, where he then proceeded to change. He wanted to see if he looked foolish while wearing yoga pants, but there was no mirror in the changing room, only a motivational poster that said, "Be the mirror you want to be." Upon exiting the changing room, Billy once again reassured him that he looked great, and told him that the beginner's class was just about to start in the next room. He walked into the nearest room and laid his yoga mat near the back. He didn't want to stand out too much in the class. The room was filled with around 10 other people in the room. It was all women. In the background, light music played. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He reassured himself that he wasn't making a fool of himself, and that he could do this. He was instantly snapped back into the room, when a stunning blonde Emma walked into the room. She spoke out loud. Alright class, Namaste. Welcome to Beginner's Yoga. I am your instructor, Emma. Is there anybody here for the first time? Silence rang throughout the room. Emma spoke again. You! In the back! Yes, the gentleman. I don't believe that I have seen you here before. Don't be shy. Is this your first time? The Mizdad never was a fan of being called out. He really wasn't trying to stand out in any way or draw attention to himself. He merely grunted and shook his head in an affirming way. Emma continued, Well then, it's fantastic to have you joining us today. Isn't it, ladies? The other ladies in the yoga class applauded in an encouraging manner. Just do what you can, alright? Don't feel any pressure to do everything that we do. Class began. Emma ran her students through various poses and positions. She took her students through the mountain pose, downward facing dog, tree pose, warrior pose, and more. No matter how hard he tried, the Mizdad was having difficulty in performing any of these moves. He was constantly crashing and slipping on his mat. He felt like a fool and couldn't believe how terrible he was at something that looked so easy. For the first time in a long while, he was completely embarrassed. He would have left the class if he didn't think that would be even more mortifying. He couldn't believe how slowly time was going, and he wasn't sure if he would be able to make it through this class. The only thing that kept him alive right now was watching the rest of the class. He couldn't keep his eyes from bouncing around the room and going from ass to ass to ass. Every single female in the room had a fantastic ass that was accentuated by their yoga pants. The Mizdad used this to keep going. He focused on thinking with his dick, and only his dick. He barely even noticed when class had ended. Until he felt somebody tap him on the shoulder. It was the instructor. Hi, sir. Are you okay? Class is over. You don't need any help or anything, do you? Emma asked him. No, ma'am. I do not. Sorry. I was just daydreaming a bit and must have gotten carried away. Mizdad states. I see. Well, meditation is another great form of exercise. But if you don't mind, can you come to my office? It doesn't seem like you've really enjoyed today's class, and I just want to do a quick survey to find out why. It'll only take a few minutes. He smiled and knew that he would have followed this buxom blonde anywhere. Sure, why not? I've got the time to spare, and I would love to help. Emma simply smiled as she grabbed his hand and walked him to her office. She told him to sit down, and she instantly locked her office door. She then walked over to the blinds that her office had, and made sure that they were also closed. The Mizdad couldn't help himself. So are we going to be doing this survey in the dark? I don't know how well I can fill out forms when in the dark. She laughs. I knew that you'd be funny, and besides, I think that we need our privacy. My boss can be so nosy. I'm not going to take any chances with her, and besides, don't worry, you won't be filling out forms, and I think from everything I've heard about you, you can handle yourself in the dark. Wait, you know who I am? But how? He questions Emma. Maurice, how else? She informed everybody at Australian Yoga that you'd be coming in, and I knew that I wanted to teach your class. I was hoping that you would have a knack for yoga, but if I have to be frank, this doesn't seem to be your thing at all, and that disappoints me, because Maurice was rather concerned about your health. I would feel like I would be doing my friend a disservice if I let you go home without getting a true workout. She walked over and sat down on his lap. His cock began to twitch through his Lululemons. She giggled as she felt a slight poking sensation against her butt. She scooted forward, grinding more against his dick, which flexed once more. Emma leaned forward and placed a slow, tender kiss on his lips. He let out a loud gulp. So, this was a setup? You wanted to have sex with me. Why didn't you just ask me? Mizdad states. I would have been completely open to it. For a variety of reasons. Number 1. I'm bad at approaching people. I tend to tense up around them. Number 2. My boss Peyton Royce has been pressuring us to get more guys in here. Maurice was doing me a favor, and I think she was also doing you a favor. She knows precisely what kind of women you enjoy. So, should we continue? Who knows? Maybe if you are really lucky, you will get a true taste of Tennille.
Taste of Tennille?
Besides, I can already tell that you are excited through these yoga pants. When the Mizdad sees a green light, he floors the gas pedal. He takes off like he is racing in the Daytona 500 with one of his NASCAR heroes. He begins to kiss her lips as he slides his hand up and down her back. He rubs her shoulder slowly. She already begins to let out yelps of excitement. His hands come to the top of her tank top, which is quickly removed. Emma is wearing a blue sports bra, which allows for her cleavage to fill over. The Mizdad moves his kisses, placing light and quick kisses on the now exposed cleavage. One of Emma's hands is now rubbing the Mizdad's member through his Lululemon pants. He can feel the friction of the pants making his cock hotter and harder. Emma! Let's lose that bra. I want to nestle my face in those tits. Right now. Mizdad exclaims. Whatever you say. These puppies are ready to play anyway. Besides, I like to be ordered around. I like for a man to tell me what to do. Emma stated. The Mizdad couldn't believe what had just happened. Emma just completely gave him complete power in this scenario. He was about to take this encounter to the next level. He didn't have much time to process this change in the room's atmosphere, as Emma had removed her sports bra and was now shoving her large tits into his face. He accepted her tits by making sure to make a loud sloppy sound as he placed Emma's left breast in his mouth. With his free hand, he began to play with her other breast, and he sucked Emma. As he sucked, Emma was enjoying how good his mouth felt on her tits.
Ooh!
And she was already wondering where else his mouth could do magic on her body. As he continued to suck on her breast, his dick continued to get harder and harder in his yoga pants. He was a good 90% hard right now, and now he could feel something different. He could feel something wet. He continued to suck on Emma's breast, but took his free hand and began to move it towards Emma's pants. As he approached where her crotch was, he could feel a large wet spot. He grinned and was glad that Emma was also getting extremely wet. This would play in his favor. After a few more minutes had passed, he ordered Emma to stand up and bend over her desk. He told her that he wanted to slowly pull off her yoga pants. After all, he could see that she was soaking through them, and he wanted a closer view of her pussy. He also wanted to get a better view of that yoga bread ass. Emma did as she was ordered. She instantly laid against her desk and slowly removed her yoga pants. As Emma's yoga pants hit the floor, she felt a loud slap on her ass. And then another. And finally, a third. You like it when I spank you, don't you? The Mizdad asked her. She merely responded by letting out a series of yelps and moans. She finally managed to stutter out, I do, especially when they are from a hunk like you. She then felt another 2 slaps. The Mizdad began to trail his fingers up and down, slightly tracing them over her pussy. He already liked how wet his fingers were from her juices. He couldn't help but to slide his finger into Emma's dripping pussy. She again let out a shriek. He continued to finger her sliding his finger in and out of her. He continued at this for a few more minutes before blurting out, "Fuck this! I want that taste of Tennille, and I want it now." He then dropped to his knees as she told him that he could have more than a taste. He could have all of Tennille that he wanted. He did just as he said, and she instructed. He slid his wet tongue in and out of her pussy, making sure to lap each and every fold and flap. She could already barely contain her moans and groans. She tried to muffle them to the best of her ability. After all, her boss's office was next door, and if she heard what was going on, she would likely get in trouble. Sure, her boss had wanted her to bring more males into the yoga studio, but I don't think she would be happy to find out that Emma was having sex with the customers. Downstairs, the Mizdad continues to greedily eat her pussy. He was eating it like he hadn't eaten in a while. Of course, he did skip breakfast. Emma began yelling out, "Oh my god! My god! Mizdad! Why are you so good at this? Oh my god! This is better than Maurice described. I'm so wet and ready for it. Please, Mizdaddy, can I just ride you now? You have done enough good work down there. It's my turn to return the favor." He got up from the floor and said, "Sure, where do you want this at?" Emma simply walked over to her desk and threw off everything on it. It made a loud crashing sound. But at this point, she didn't care if her boss heard. She was too far gone. She was too horny to care anymore. "Just remove the rest of those yoga pants and lay there on my desk. I'll take care of all of the work." She turns to him and smiles. His pants practically hit the ground in 0 seconds, and he quickly gets on the desk. Emma climbs on top and slowly positions herself. She finally finds the Mizdad's fully erect and hard penis, and lowers herself on it. She begins to slowly grind up and down on his cock, as he begins to let out loud, labored groans. "Ugh! Oh, good! I can't believe how good you are at riding this dick. Keep going, in. This feels super, super good, Emma. And I don't know how long I can last at this rate."
Now calculating.
She laughs and continues at it. He can feel himself inching deeper and deeper into Emma's folds. If nothing else, Emma's yoga skills were starting to pay off now. She was able to position herself in ways that allowed her to take all of the Mrs. Father's dick. He can barely contain himself as he feels his balls begin to throb. He knows that he is about to come at any minute. The sounds of skin slapping continue to echo throughout the tiny office. And then, all at once, she hears a loud groan coming from the Mizdad, and instantly feels a stream of warm cum flowing within her. She got down from the desk and immediately began to get dressed again, while the Mizdad struggled to catch his breath. Emma spoke. "So, I don't think yoga is for you, but I see no reason why we can't keep this arrangement every week. That way your wife at least thinks you are going to yoga. How does that sound to you?" "That sounds fantastic. I really, really look forward to learning more yoga with you, Emma. I think you will be a fantastic teacher. And who knows, maybe I'll even teach you a few things."
Woo, woo, woo! You know it!
He then proceeded to put back on his yoga pants and tap out shirt. As soon as he got dressed, they heard a loud knock on the office door. Standing outside Emma's door was her boss, Peyton, and she was surprised to see Emma in her office with a guy. She immediately turned to Emma. "So, is this a new student? Did you finally manage to do your job for once and get a male to sign up?" The Mrs. Father interrupted. "Excuse me, miss. Emma has done more than that. She has gotten me to sign up to take private lessons each and every week. She really seems to be a motivated teacher. Peyton was shocked and exclaimed, "Emma? That's amazing! I'm so sorry that I ever doubted you. And Mr. What's your name?" "Just call me Mr. Mizanin." Peyton responded, "All right, Mr. Mizanin. Thank you for joining our studio. We look forward to providing you with the best in yoga services."
And tons of sex.
"Thank you, miss. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to be going. Goodbye, ladies." With that, the Mizdad strode to the front door of the yoga studio, swung it open, and walked away. He got into his car before speeding back home. After a long day of yoga, it was definitely Miller Lite time. The end. Thank you for listening to episode number 47 of WrestleRotica. We hope that you enjoyed this week's stories. Thank you for joining in and celebrating with us for our 1-year anniversary. It is because of you listeners that this podcast keeps going. Here's to another great year of stories. Visit us elsewhere online, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and as always, our official website, WrestleRoticapod.com. Thank you and have a good week.